Welcome to the Airborne Canine podcast, The Dog Dialectic. I am your host, Ashley Jacobson. I am joined with our co-host, Kelly Ortega. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome. And today we are also joined with our special guest, Frances Behagg. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay, cool. Good enough.
It's close.
Awesome. Before we get into today's topic, we are excited about this weekend. I'm going to be trialing with Medic in IGP for his level 3 GPR. I'm trying to think what else we got going on. We still have a Inukshuk in stock. We have a few people coming to pick up orders tonight and tomorrow. I'm super excited about that. We just got restocked on all of our Star Mark products. The Star Mark treat pouches are still sold out, which is very sad. But let's see, I just ordered more of the Viper Canine. So anything you guys are looking for, let me know. We always have them for sale. Kelly, what else we got?
I think you're doing holiday boarding, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always.
Holiday boarding in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be here. So
no. Where are you going to be?
I am going to, I forget what it's called, but it's some national park and it's called like Dinosaur or something because there's like dinosaur footprints, and I'm going camping with my dogs. So
nice.
Dinosaurs outside and dogs, I'm gone.
Very cool. Awesome. Let's see. So yeah, if you need boarding over the holidays, I've been getting a lot of calls recently about it. So don't wait until the last minute. We are now booked up for the holidays, for at least for Thanksgiving. Don't wait until the last minute to schedule for Christmas, because if we book up, you're shit out of luck. So let us know early, get on the schedule, and yeah. All right. What else is there? Nothing? Okay. Let's dive right in. So for today's topic, we're going to talk about kind of how you can get started in dog training and what it's like getting into the world of dog training with a dog that you already have, with a dog that maybe you got not with the intention of doing anything above and beyond having a great family pet, but maybe are getting interested in doing something more. So, Franny, I want you to first introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about the dogs that you have.
Okay, well, first, my name is Fran. But so we actually, between me, I live on a piece of property with my parents or my mom, and between us, we have 7 dogs, and all of them came their own way to us. So I work with Fort Liberty Fire Department. I'm a captain out there at one of the stations. So I've been there for almost 12, 13 years now.
Wow.
So, and I've been in the fire service since 2005. So it's been a while, but even with the off schedule, it's kind of hard to actually keep a schedule and stuff with my dogs. So because they go to my house, and then whenever I go and shift, they go to my mom's house. So, but so the 7 dogs we do have, at least I think having each one of them at each one that come into my life, I kind of like train at a different level. And then finally I'm to the point that I have to go to training, or I have to do training with them and make sure that they stay active. So the 7 dogs we have, one is like an 18-year-old Chihuahua who's blind and deaf now. So, but she's just a little thing. She's like less than 5 pounds. So then I have a Yorkie Terrier that's about 5 to 6 pounds. And I actually got her from one of my nieces because she outgrew their little dog. So she was about 5, anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds. So, and then I got a Jack Russell that I found on the side of the road. So she had a lot of energy, but the good thing about that was I had a lot of land to run her on during her prime. We have 2 outside boys that are just pets. They kind of they do bite when people come into the yard. That they don't, yeah, they do bite. So we kind of we manage by putting them in a different yard and stuff. So, and then the last two that I got, which is Nika and Foster, they kind of came to me. Nika, I had as a puppy, and I started training her with an actual. I figured that with her being a puppy, I was going to do it right this time. And so I got a trainer, which that was probably not a great. It was a good idea, but in the same sense, it was I was very new to what I was supposed to look for into a trainer. And at the time, I just kind of went with, oh, it's a local trainer out of his house. Okay, well, I'll see if he'll help me train my dog. So $1,000 later, yeah, he taught me to teach him how to sit and stay. But the problem with him, he was very like his timing. He was more worried about competing his dogs. So either he was late for the lessons or he didn't show up or his competitions overtook the schedule. It was so after I finished the lessons that I had paid for, that was it with that one. And I was like, well, just go with it. And Nika, she's a German Shepherd pit mix. And she was fine until we went camping one time. And then whenever we went camping one time, she got very aggressive just to other dogs, just walking and everything else. And I was like, okay, this is something I need to fix before it gets worse. And that's how I found Airborne Canine.
Yay.
Yeah, when y'all were on Raleigh Road before COVID.
Yep.
So
Actually, was it? No, it was during COVID, I think.
no, I had Nico before COVID because Jody, yeah, it was right before COVID.
No, because we opened in January of 2020, and then COVID lockdown was March.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
And we didn't have Jody yet. It was just me and Amy at that point.
okay.
Yeah. And we didn't even get Eric until later on that year. So Jody wasn't even there until probably 2021 almost.
All right. So I've been with y'all since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Jody trained, she helped me with Foster and with Nika.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just kind of stuck with y'all. I mean, there was an incident that I had with Foster because Foster's 15 breeds of everything high maintenance, and he found his way into my life because they always say you don't get the dog you want, you get the dog you need.
Yep.
Obviously, this was my entrance to you need to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Get off your bum. And so with Foster, you know, I came to training. He came into our yard at the end of September, and I decided no matter what, we were getting ready to go. I was getting ready to go to Charleston for the weekend with my mom, and then he was just so active. My dad was older, so he had some issues, and I didn't want him and Foster to get caught up because of his high intensity, and then my dad's low intensity. So that's whenever I sent Foster for the board and train for 2 weeks. And then after that, we had an incident where he went after my nephew because that was whenever I called you crying because I didn't know, I thought I had to get rid of a dog just because we had an incident. And you're like, well, that's an option, but there are also other options. And I think that's the reason why I like Airborne Canine is because not only you're honest and very transparent, but you kind of work with the dog's needs as well as the human's needs. You train both of us.
Yay, thank you.
So then that's why we always come to you. And that's why I tell everybody about y'all. They're like, I got this dog problem. I was like, go to see Ashley.
Yeah.
Canine. I was like, trust me, it's a better relationship and everything else. So
Oh yeah. I love it. I love Foster. I love Nika. They're awesome. I would love to see the rest of your dogs too, honestly.
They're high. But anyway, but
That's
yeah.
okay.
And now with Foster and Nika, I've started doing the tracking, and we've started with the obedience and stuff like that with the club nights and stuff. So
yeah. Yeah, so Nika and Foster have been coming out and doing tracking at our Sunday tracking clubs when we have it. And we've been doing our sport dog club on Thursday nights. So what's the goal for, like, what's the near goal for Nika and or Foster?
Well, just kind of continue and just kind of build the relationship that we do have. I think that's a constant thing, but we found out that Nika's not very good at at protection, so we may have to go a different way to get her agility and stuff out of her. But
I think, honestly, I think she has it in her. So Fran brought Nika and Foster out to our protection sport dog club, and we tried a little bit of, protection introduction using like the flirt pole, see if they have prey drive, because I know they both have it. And I think it's going to be a little bit of work on the outside and a little bit of work with you as well. And making sure that we're setting the dogs up and preparing them for those sessions a little bit better too. I think we kind of jumped in with a little bit of a misunderstanding about what we're expecting from the dog in that type of training setting. It's a little bit different than doing like our obedience and stuff like that. But I think it's possible.
I mean, if you've seen Gracie before we started doing anything with her, like you would be like, that dog would never chase a ball, do anything. And then this morning she bit me in the hand because she wanted her ball. So
Yep.
There's always a possibility.
Yeah. Awesome. So you started coming to training with Nika originally because she was having some dog reactivity issues. And you came in then later with Foster for some dog reactivity and some human issues as well. So now, how do you feel like what you've learned through the training has changed your lifestyle and your routine with your dogs at home?
well, there's a couple of things. One, you've given me plenty of great references, like some of the other podcasts and stuff to listen to, and come to find out I wasn't the only person in the world that had reactive dogs. Even on this podcast, when you and Kelly had talked about your previous stories and everything, you started off with dogs that were reactive to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't it, and it makes you, whenever you do have a dog that's reactive, it's like he's a freak of nature. Like everybody else has the perfect dog, except for for me. So I've learned how to manage with Nika and Foster and advocate for them, because I've realized that whenever we go out in public, Nika's great to look at, but she doesn't. If she gets a scent that she just doesn't like, or she doesn't know you, she has ugly teeth, and I was like, nope, she's not a dog you want to pet.
Yep.
So, but there's only certain cases that she'll, like with you guys, and in certain instances where she feels comfortable enough to have people pet her. But other places, I just kind of advocate that no, you don't want to pet her.
Yeah.
Look at, that's it. And then with Foster, I've learned to not only, like, we go out and we walk the trails at Smith Lake and stuff like that, or we go on walks in the morning for very long times and everything, just to kind of get his energy out of him, but it helps him get focused for the day, I think. But with him, I've learned to manage, like, whenever he does a certain stance or whenever he gets a certain posture, or if things just come out of nowhere in the woods, of what to do next. Like, do we turn around and make it look like, oh, we're walking away from it? Or, depend on how he interprets it and which way we go. We either go straight or we just turn around and go a different route.
From there, is there more you want to kind of add to that as well before we were so rudely interrupted by my terrible dogs?
No, I mean, yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. So, you're at the point where the management is working. It's part of your daily life, right? Now, I know we've talked a lot about the fact that, like, you like to go camping, you like to travel with your dogs. How has that changed as you've learned how to manage your dogs to be able to include them in more of the activities that you do?
It's better. It's a better relationship, and it's not as stressful. I mean, because it's kind of like, if you have an analogy that would, I guess, kind of describe it, is like if you had that rambunctious kid that in Walmart that all it does is scream and yell, we don't want to go to Walmart or anything. But I don't have that with Foster and Nika. Now that I can manage them, it's kind of like, okay, well, this is how it's going to work. And it's not that loud, obnoxious, like screaming child. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, that's awesome. And I know you camp pretty often. You have like a tow behind camper that you use, and what activities you like to do while you're out there with the dogs?
I like walking around and, well, we do our regular training sessions sometimes, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, whatever. Sometimes we just chill out and watch movies or whatever. They're completely happy with that. Um, but for the most part, it's a better relationship because I don't feel stressful and anxiety before I go on a camping trip of what I need to do to prepare for it because it's been practiced and I know it works. And so it's kind of like I load them up and they're fine, and we get in the camper and they're great. So it's a nice little, it's definitely a nice little getaway.
Awesome. Very cool. So now you and the dogs are getting prepared to do some other activities. So can you tell me more about the new endeavors you're taking on with them, with like the tracking and the sport dog club? What's your goal for all of that?
Well, eventually, hopefully, me and Nika will trial. We will trial. Because she does really get off leash. Um, Foster, it depends on what we can find, what he can do on leash, because the fact that he gets very distracted very easily, and for him to jet off or even get involved in his distractions is a little bit more than what he needs to be at. And it may change with time. The older he gets, he may mellow out a little bit more. So maybe.
If Alba is any indication, don't count on it. Her and Bro are both 11 years old and counting, and we're still waiting for them to mellow out. So we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Awesome. So you're preparing for the BH in IGP, which is the topic we talked about last week with Allie. Can you tell us a little bit about how you felt or how you're feeling about preparing for it? Like, what's challenging about the BH? What are you finding easy? Are there questions you have that we can kind of talk about? How is all of that going for you?
so I think the two most challenging parts, one on my part is counting paces.
Yep. Everyone struggles with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just counting, because by 20 I'm like, oh, did I shut off the whatchamacallit? It's kind of like, what number am I on now? And by then you're like at 50 and it's like, oh, well, okay, now what do I do next? But for Nika, I think her problem is the focus healing for like more than a few seconds. But she's doing better. She's working on it. And we're working on it because I'm working separately on the pace counts and everything else without the dogs. So it's kind of like a role play with I mean, that's basically what it is role playing without your dog in the scenario. So I do separate and then I do training with them. So, but yeah, it's the pace count. And then of course I would have to say those are two of the hardest parts is her focus healing. Because other than that, she wants to put her head down and go, okay, we're walking.
That's okay. For the BH, the focus heal is nice, and it does help them stay, focused on the task at hand and not kind of get, oh, butterfly and veer off to the side somewhere. So it does help them stay focused in the behavior so that way they're not leaving you, essentially. But the focus heal is not required. So if you don't have a focus heal, you're still going to pass. But if you don't have that focus heal, then you're more likely that your dog might kind of wander away from you, get distracted, see something else more interesting than you, who knows what. But that's, the primary reason why you do want it, for sure. I think she has it in her. I've definitely seen that spark in her, and I know that you're doing a lot to really reinforce that focus head position. But I mean, it's not everything,
Right.
thankfully. So what is it about, the IGP that, kind of, or the IGP BH that interests you, and why is it something that you want to do with your dogs?
It's a goal. And everybody should have goals. I mean, we have goals every year. Like every year we come out with a New Year's resolution. Well, that's a goal.
Mhm.
So it's just to have something to point you in a direction of. So that's the reason why I want to get her with the BH and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a very attainable goal too. It's really great for when you're getting started, and something you can definitely do fairly easily without a high level of stress, without the likelihood of a dog having a bad experience. There's nothing, let's say, dangerous or scary about doing the BH for the dog, at least. I know some people get really nervous about going out on the trial field where everyone's looking at you, but the dog they don't know the difference between a trial day and a training day. So
Yeah.
I know once you get into some of the more intense, like protection sports, there can definitely be things that could be scary, things that could happen. And, the last thing we want to have happen is your dog having a bad experience.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, are you getting ready for anything recently?
No, we're just right now working on our like fixing our heel up, constantly working on scent detection, and then I'm working on my send outs right now too. So
Nice. Why are you doing send outs?
because it's fun and it's hard.
Yeah, this is true. This is true for sure. Kelly, what questions do you have for Fran?
Sorry, hold on. Okay, sorry. I muted my microphone because I kept having like airplanes and crap going through, so I was just hitting the space bar. But first of all, I didn't even realize that your dogs had like the reactivity issues. You've done like such a good job working on them. They've been fantastic when I have messed with them. I guess question wise is like, do you have anything in mind for my boy Foster to do?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, he does really get on with tricks and everything else. He's smart like that, but his tracking is not very good. His tracking is not very good. Nika's a little bit more focused and like, okay, we can do this. Foster, not so much. So, but when we go on the trails, his nose is always working. So I don't know.
Try some scent detection stuff with him. Because then it's like you're not having to follow like the path. You could just do the search. You might like that. That'd be cool. I'm a scent detection advocate, so
I
Yeah,
am too.
he's kind of all over the place when we do the tracking. Like this morning, I did tracking in the front yard, and he was like, "Oh, okay, there's food here." I mean, he's great at it, but then he pulls, and it's kind of like, "I want to go over here. I want to go somewhere else. I just don't want." Nika's kind of like she's more focused. So.
yeah. I mean, that's the benefit of an area search in scent detection. I don't care if my dog goes that way. I'm just gonna follow him. So but yeah, I definitely see Nika as more like the organized, like everything's in its spot kind of dog, and then Foster's kind of like butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, I think maybe considering American Schutzhund instead of IGP would probably be a good fit. If you do want to go that route, I say, keep working with the tracking. I mean, I personally prefer scent detection also, but if dog training just came easily, then it wouldn't be fun. So we need to find the things that really challenge us and say, hey, this is hard, this is difficult, I'm not good at it. That means I need to put some more time into it. Now, granted, that being said, we're not going to do something we hate forever. But you might find that doing something you hate until you're good at it can sometimes make it something you like. Not saying that you hate tracking. I'm saying that I hate tracking. And I think if I can get to the point where Medic is actually doing it, I might actually enjoy it. But it's like every time we go out there, it's just a loss. It's just another failure. I'm like, God damn it.
Well, you also lose the you're like the rest of us. Did I end it here? Which way do I go now?
Yeah, I should really be counting my paces when I lay my track. I just go, oh, I think this is a good place to turn. And I turn, and then I'm like, I'll do another turn. Oh, I'll do another turn. And I end up, I'm like, wait, did I turn left first or right? Or how far did I go? Yeah. Oh, God.
Because we talked about it on Sunday that we should just trust our dogs because Medic found it eventually.
Yeah. Medic was doing good. And that's what they said when I did my practice run last week with the place where I'm going to be trialing. They're like, your dog had it. Like, you pulled him away and you messed him up. I'm like, God damn it. It's always me. Let's be real.
Right? I do the same thing.
Uh,
They're like, I thought you wanted me to do this. I was like, well, yeah, but not right now.
right. Oh my God. So, Fran, from your perspective, as someone who's kind of just dipping your toes into the competition side of things, what topics or areas of dog training, and it doesn't have to be competition sports, it doesn't have to be anything like that. It could be in the pet dog world, it could be behavior modification stuff. What questions do you specifically have, or what areas are you most interested in learning more about?
Well, because I've started dipping my toes into the water. It's kind of funny because as a firefighter, we have like a multitude of like different tasks or a multitude of different like feathers in our hat and stuff of things we can do and everything and what we do. That is, it is kind of, I don't know, I've kind of learning on this path with Foster and Nika with the training and stuff and seeing, you know, what canines can do. And I started actually, I did a little bit of digging of like, well, what do they do in the fire service? So, and I found out a lot that they did. Not only are they used now for stress relief for PTSD, but they also use them for like a diver training and stuff like that. But as for dipping mine like into the competition world right now, it's pretty interesting. It's been a great little ride. I don't know where I was going with this. What was the question again?
No, actually, you brought up a interesting topic that sparked an idea that you might be interested in. I don't know if you're aware, last weekend was the RH Nationals. And we were there, Airborne Canine was there selling our products, selling our wares. And it was the first nationals to be held in the United States. So, are you familiar at all with the RH program?
No.
Cool. So the RH program falls under the United Schutzhund Club of America, which is the governing organization for IGP. But the RH is a search and rescue program. And so, we can train search and rescue dogs to find people lost in the woods, to find people, who are buried, who are in rubble, in natural disasters. And there's a lot that goes into it that involves a little bit of tracking and trailing. It's not just tracking like IGP tracking. You could do like air scenting, which is nice.
Right.
As long as they get to where they're going. They don't care how they get there, which is awesome. But then they have the obedience routine, which is the BH routine. So what you're already practicing for. And then they have a couple other like, I don't want to say like agility obstacles, but like confidence obstacles to show that the dog is able to navigate potentially uneven surfaces. So like, imagine you're doing a search and rescue mission through rubble, right? Mm-hmm. And there could be things that move under their feet or unstable ground. They have obstacles that require them to stand on things that move, that make noise, all sorts of cool stuff. But when you're talking about, fire rescue, stuff like that, then I was like, hey, that might be a good area to look into, something you might be interested in.
Yeah. Because what did Jody do with her competitions?
She does disc dog. So that's like having the dog do a bunch of tricks and catching frisbees. She does like biathlons where they run like obstacle courses with their dogs, like through mud and tunnels and climb over things and under things and all that sort of stuff. She also does agility, and I think she does fast cat, maybe, maybe not. And she does dock diving.
Okay.
I think she does more. I don't know.
Because I remember there was a picture on the Facebook page or something with her and the pit bull with like him on a harness and she's pulling him up and I forget what the picture. Pretty
Huh.
sure it was on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I think it might have been one of her obstacle courses.
Yeah.
Because part of the obstacle course is like carrying your dog through different things, and yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole big, like you've opened myself up to like a whole big world. It's like it's a whole new world.
Exactly. That's the great thing about dog sports, is that there's so many of them. There's something out there for everybody. And it's just fun stuff to go do with your dogs, with a whole community of other people who want to do stuff with their dogs. Yeah.
That don't have crazy wild dogs.
Yeah.
Or no, not really crazy wild. They kind of contain them. I guess it's different. It's not like the public.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you haven't seen Medic at dock diving, so that's wild. Do you have any, I was gonna say, do you have any like specific questions about, I think you had brought up the topic of, I think it was like anxiety in dogs. Is that something that you would want to talk about?
I don't think really anxiety, but sometimes I do get like before with Nika and Foster at the very beginning of how they were reacting to certain things, and I just didn't know how to manage it and stuff like that. It was or more embarrassment than anything. It was like, well, I can't take you out in public, but I want to take you out in public. Like I shouldn't hide you. We should go do things, but I can't go do things with you because you're crazy psycho. So I mean it's just stuff like that. So I think it was an anxiety of the fact that it's just like your anxiety with the parent that has a screaming child at Walmart's,
Sure.
the cashier or stuff. It's the same anxiety that is. It's like, I can't believe this.
Oh, I thought when you had mentioned that topic to me, I thought you meant like the dog has anxiety.
No, I
Got it.
don't think they have anxiety.
I mean, they can for sure, and that's something we plan to talk about in a future episode probably. But yeah, I think that's a good topic as well, as like human anxiety when you have problem dogs.
Right, because it kind of goes hand in hand. But and then they just kind of feed off each other. You feed off them and they feed off you, and then it's just a back and forth, and then it's a crazy circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly, you've had experience with that, right? When you first had Scooter and he was acting crazy, like, do you feel like you can relate to that as well?
I don't think as much with Scooter because at that point I didn't know better. But definitely like knowing how he acted gave me a lot of anxiety with Gracie that was very misplaced. Gracie, who's currently snoring, if you can hear it. But like she's perfectly fine. She's great off leash. She's great at Lowe's. But I had a big period of like taking her to Lowe's. I like my heart rate was crazy. Like I just did not want to go in there. I was like convinced she's gonna bark, the leash is gonna break, and she's gonna start racetracking the store, or she's gonna like pee in the aisle or something crazy. And same with like off leash. And I think I still get a little bit of the anxiety with her off leash for sure, because I'm like, I have no control of my dog. It's so scary. But it's a lot of like misplaced. And I found something that really helped me was just doing the same kind of training session I would do for a dog, like go to Lowe's, walk in Lowe's, be in Lowe's for 2 minutes, go home. Like that was my training session for me. So it's all about like, I think just slowly, sorry, there's a fuzzy, slowly kind of conditioning yourself to be like, look, here's the experience you were scared of, and now it wasn't that bad last time, and so this time it's probably not going to be that bad either. I still though get a lot of adrenaline. So
Absolutely. Yeah, and honestly, like, I wasn't planning to talk about this, but like the anxiety that we have as handlers, as dog owners, and it's funny because once I started like training my dogs to a higher standard, higher level of reliability, some of it went away. But then the more of a professional dog trainer I have become, the more experienced I've become, the higher my anxiety has gotten because now I have a higher expectation of what my dog should be doing and how my dogs should be behaving. And so if I'm walking through Lowe's and my dog's not giving me an attention heel, I'm like, oh my God, my dog is shit.
right, like I feel that because I'm like I could take a client dog to Lowe's, and if the dog like shats on the floor, I'm like, oh, it's a client dog, it's fine. Even though no one else knows it's a client dog, like some random person thinks that my dog just shat on the floor, but because I know it's a client dog, I'm like, oh, not worried about it. Like I'm fine. If it's Gracie, I'm like, I know everyone on the earth knows that this dog trainer just let her dog do this, and she deserves to die. So I definitely like feel you on that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, don't feel alone. It never goes away. The more you train, the worse it gets because now you have that expectation.
Yeah.
Like I went out to go train this week. Like I said, we're getting ready for their level 3 obedience and level 3 protection. And my dog made a bunch of mistakes here or there. My dog did little things like he wasn't giving me great attention heel. He wasn't awesome in the protection. I definitely like worked him like really, really hard. So towards the end, he was really tired. And when they get tired, they make more mistakes. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Like he looks like shit. And I'm in front of these other trainers who are doing the same sport as me. And then I'm like, I think I always try to remember where I came from. Like when I was in your shoes, Fran, when I was at that point in my career, in my training journey, and like when I saw other people's dogs who were at the level I'm at now, and how like insanely impressed I was back then. And it really helps me be a lot more relaxed and a lot more accepting of my dog's, mistakes here and there. Speaking of my dog's mistakes, Dante is losing his mind. How dare somebody walk on the public road past my house?
Not allowed. Send Dante after him. Release the hounds.
I say release the Dante.
Yeah, release the Dante. Yeah, I remember like I've always been like having an idea in my head for a TikTok of like Gracie healing, but I'm so picky with my heel that I'm like, I can't post that on the internet. Her heel's not ready yet. And we've been healing for like a year, 2 years now. Like it's never perfect and it's never gonna be perfect, but it's scary and I don't want to see it on film.
And the good news is with TikTok that you can always edit the bad parts out.
That's true, but I'm gonna like look at the video and I'm gonna be like, trash it. No edits. Like the only editing parts would be like just us sitting still.
You should probably have somebody else look at the video.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a low story too. Now that I've been to training, I have that certain standard when we go into buildings. Even with Foster, like we're out and about, he still has a certain standard. His standard we're still working on. But Nika's standard, we go into Lowe's and to Tractor Supply and stuff like that. So whenever I go into those stores, I expect that whenever we stop, she sits. If she doesn't sit, then I correct her and make the changes and she sits. And then of course, she's just so like laid back and other people bring in their wild dogs and they're like, she's such a pretty dog. She's so well behaved. Look at that dog. I was like, you just don't know what it took to get here. Is what I keep saying in the back of my head. But yeah, I mean, after, like I said, going for training for so long, like you have a different, I guess even with my piggies in the water, it's kind of like I still have I've gone up. I've leveled up in the dog world.
Yes, you have. Absolutely.
So.
And this past weekend, you came out to tracking, which was awesome. And you got to meet our newest client, Brian and Donna. They're coming with their German Shepherd and they're getting started. They really want to get into like sport dog stuff. And so what kind of advice do you have for people who are just kind of getting started in it?
Trust your dog. Believe it or not, I think that's the one thing that I've seen I struggle with. And whenever we were out there, you're like, maybe I should just trust Medic. And I'm like, and so I think it basically boils down to, you have to trust the relationship that you have with your dog. And you and your dog can tell what kind of relationship that is. I mean, we've seen it at the park a couple of times now with different dogs that come by with them just walking. Like, you look at them and you kind of know what kind of relationship is going on there. And so I guess kind of trust your dog and just build your relationship with your dog. I think it's the best, greatest advice. And then you guys can figure out where you want to go. If you just want to be a pet dog, if you just want to have a pet dog, then that's great. If you want to have a pet dog with manners, then kudos, it only levels up. It just depends on what you want out of your relationship, just like any relationship, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if I can add a little bit to what you stated too about trusting your dog, trust your training.
Yeah.
Trust that the training is working. Like, if you haven't done any training, don't trust your dog.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
Because I think that's what we're seeing when we go to the park and we see these people with their dogs off leash. And I'm like, I'm not going to take my dog out yet because I know that person has no control over that dog who is 30, 50 paces away from them, just doing whatever it wants. And yeah. And so I just sit there and stare at them until they put their dog back on leash. And they're over there, Fido, come here, Fido. And Fido's just like, screw you, bitch. Off, do his thing.
I've seen it on Smith Lake trails and stuff all the time. Like they'll be like, oh, it's a big wooded area. There's nobody out here, but there's other people out there using the same trails. And it clearly states on the rules that you have to have your dog on a leash to begin with. It's not an off leash park, but I've seen plenty of dogs out there and they're okay. They're like, oh, they're really great on recall until they're not. It's kind of like there's been several incidents that I've had to put Foster in between my legs just so that it was like, okay, if you're in between my legs, we're kind of like one unit.
Yeah.
So you're more to manage and we can, figure out life after that type thing.
There are people at the absolute highest level of dog training and dog sports and competitive dog activities who would never say that they can recall their dog off anything. Because they are literally putting their dog in the most challenging situations you can. And, in situations where they have to call their dogs off of it. And it's not always perfect. I mean, the dogs make mistakes. And so when I see people who are not at that standard of training, and I had someone recently say, oh, I can recall my dog off anything. I go, can you really? Are you sure? You are too confident for what I've seen you do with your dog to be able to say that. Because even the people who are like among the ones that I admire the most, their dogs still make mistakes. So when I see people who are not anywhere near that level or below where I'm at in my training, experience, say that they can recall their dog off anything, highly skeptical.
My favorite way to phrase that is like, I'm a human with a silly little primate brain and I can understand like consequences and I'm still speeding. Like I'm still going like 15 over. My dog knows she's dead. My dog knows the consequence for recall is usually, like her e-collar or not getting a reward or seeing me cry. But she knows that consequence. She still might speed, you know what I mean? She still might decide that treat over there is a lot cooler than mom right now.
Yep. And it's the same for, I think, and I don't want to call you out, Fran, those people who say my dog does so much better off leash. I'm like, really? I think normally I see like if the dog can't do it on leash, they really can't do it off leash either.
Yeah.
So now I think like when I was getting ready for the BH, because the BH has the on-leash portion and the off-leash portion, I have this mentality that as long as my dog can do it off leash, then the on leash portion is gonna be fine. So I spent way more time on the training field with my dog off leash. And so I think there is value to what you said, where my dog does better in the off leash portion than the on leash, because sometimes we do spend way more time doing it off leash, thinking that way when the leash is on, it's basically the same thing. But you'll find that the dog is aware of the context of being on leash and off leash. And so maybe that's kind of what you're seeing. Because I definitely think Dakota's like attention healing, even though it was still not great, was at least a little bit better when the off leash portion came versus the on leash, just because we didn't do a lot of it on leash. But I think for our average clients, that no, I will never trust their dogs off leash unless they've been training with me for a while. So
I don't think I could ever, like, I don't care if your dog trained with me for like 2 years, just like the liability. I would throw up.
It's so often like people will show up at the house to do their initial consultation, to drop off, pick up, whatever, and they just let the dog run out of the car with no leash on. I'm like, there's a highway like right there. Like, what are you doing?
I had someone back when I was in my house in North Carolina let their dog off leash during the consult. Like I looked down to type, I looked up, and the dog is just like in my living room, just like walking around. And I was like, yeah, like get your dog. Like you don't know what I have out. You don't know like if my dog is gonna roll around the corner or something, which my dogs are always in kennels if I have clients out, but people are dumb.
All the time. People like, we'll be sitting here for the consultation. Oh, can I take her off leash? I'm like, no.
Yeah, like you're here because you need training. No. But I do like I walk with pepper spray now, like one because I'm in a kind of like high murder rate environment. But also because like if your dog comes to me, it's not gonna probably care about pet corrector. Like I will pepper spray your dog. And if my dog, like if it wafts into their eyes, that sucks. They didn't get mauled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a pepper spray girl.
I bring bear spray.
The same thing.
Yes.
The pepper spray came in pink, so we went pepper spray.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Man.
I think that was one of probably, so whenever we were starting to come to training and everything, I would always have to, because you actually, whenever even your trainers and stuff would always make sure that before we came in the door, like if you were training there, like you started at the door with your dog. And I think it was kind of like, oh, okay, if somebody tells me that I need to do something to fix something, then of course I'm going to do it. Or, hey, probably need to put the dog in heel before you come in, or make it sit at the doorway, like you do it subtly, but then, I like I guess honesty and bluntness is what I enjoy, is one of the factors that I look for in some of my services that helps me choose what services to go with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's with you guys, because you're very blunt and honest about it. But you're tactful to say, it says you're not going to hurt my feelings. I know it comes from a place of love and everything, but
we do it because we love your dogs.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so that was one of the first things, was like before I even came in, it was kind of like expected that your dog was like, they sat at the door, they healed, this is how they come in and present themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get that rat from?
This is Bruno. Bruno decided to join us on the podcast. He's been trying to climb up my leg the whole time we've been doing it.
Oh, he has no ear.
Oh no, his ear fell off.
You're a dog trainer and you can't keep your dog to keep his hair? You can't train him to keep his hair on his body?
Oh, I thought you said his ear.
No, his hair. He's ugly.
He's not ugly. He's just bare. He got bare belly. Everyone assumes Medic is my favorite. This one is my favorite.
That one's my least favorite.
This is my favorite. Hi. He's shaking.
Aw, probably because he has no hair.
Probably because he's a Chihuahua and that's a breed trait.
Is it?
No. But yeah, I still like making the people heal to the training. But I don't do it in the first week. I usually do it in the second week. Once the dog knows heel. Most people still don't, but it's okay. I can only do so much. And that's something I still like reiterate when we do our consultations and when we're doing our training and I give people homework and things to practice. I'm like, I can only give you recommendations. Whether or not you do it is 110% up to you. Like, you're paying for the information, you're paying for the recommendations. And then if you go home and do nothing with it, doesn't matter to me. I mean, I feel bad for your dogs, but I can only do so much. We're only human. You can all make choices. I can go pay for a personal trainer and a nutritionist, but if I want to sit on my couch and eat pizza,
Yeah.
It's my money. I do what I want.
I feel bad. I have that conversation with almost all my clients, and I kind of feel bad when I give it to them because I feel like the way I say it makes it kind of sound like I'm not I'm not going to be disappointed if they don't, kind of thing. Because I'm like assuming it'll happen, but I'm like, if you want to do whatever you want this weekend, go for it. But it's gonna come out in the wash.
Yeah. And it's interesting. We have a client who came in. Oh my God.
I have a picture of Bruno.
Dude, I like when that picture first popped up, that is not what I thought it was. Oh my God.
Well, it's an old picture of him because it has teeth.
Oh my God. He still has some of his teeth left. But no, we had a client come in recently and they just started with us. They're doing private lessons. But they have a blue nose pit bull and they want to do protection. They want the dog to be a protection dog for the home. And I said, sure, yeah, we can do that. That's fine. The way you're going to achieve that is by coming to club on Thursdays and doing the private lessons and doing these things at home. And, I explained to them like, because they were looking specifically for a protection trainer. And like, yeah, no one around here is advertising it. I didn't know if there's anyone around here. I'm like, bro, this is the like center of the universe for protection training. Like everything is here. You have so many different resources here. Like they asked me, why is it that no one advertises the fact that they do protection training? And I said, well, because if I put out there like, hey, we do protection training. If you want to do protection training, come contact us. We'll get 100 phone calls. And of those 100 people, maybe one of them will actually follow through with it because it's so handler and owner intensive. But they like in the consultation, they were like, oh no, we want to do this. This is our priority. We want this, we want this, we want this. They have yet to show up to club. They have done one private lesson. And like, as far as like doing the stuff that we recommended at home, no, not really.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
That's why I'm not like, I don't publish too much advertising service dogs, and I will never ever probably offer protection dogs because I'm like, if you look at like a PSA dog, which is a pretty realistic like they set up like obviously like the PSA levels as pretty realistic scenarios for like bites and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes years and no one wants to do that. Like the average human, we're mentally deranged, we want to do that.
Well, and the vast majority of people signing up for service dogs, the reason why they're coming to a trainer and bringing their own dog is because they contacted a service dog organization, found out that there was a 2-year wait and said, I don't want to wait that long. And then they come to a service dog trainer and they go, it's going to take at least 2 years. And they go, well, shit.
Yeah. And there's also like a lot of unrealistic expectations in both of those like training scenarios. And also like, not that you can't, I believe you can do just about anything with almost any dog to a point, but like there's definitely reasons like in service dogs you have the Fab 4 or Fab 5, whatever, the little labs and stuff, and then in protection work like there's obviously a reason there's German Shepherds and Malinois and Dutchies, and people bring you their like random whatever off the street and say, why isn't it biting?
Bruno, you want to be a protection dog?
Bruno doesn't want to be here.
He's like, I want to get back in bed. That's it.
he has no soul in his eyes. They're just little like black
Like,
pits.
I got protection. I got two big dogs that protect me every day.
Yeah,
I'm like the
exactly.
monster.
Bruno has his own goon squad.
There you go. You don't need protection.
He's a leader. I've seen it in action. Like he will. So when I was staying with Ashley, when back before Dante loved me, there was a time, as I have like the scar on my face, but before Dante loved me, Bruno would like find out that I was out in the open, start barking, alert Dante, and send Dante after me. Like he has control of every single dog in that house except probably Daria.
I don't know. I bet he could.
No one can control Daria.
I think Bruno could. Bruno's like an idiot savant of dog training. Come, Bruno.
You need to get him a little black spooky robe.
I got a Halloween sweater with a skull on it.
Spooky.
Spooky. All right. So we're gonna start wrapping this up. I have a couple clients coming in tonight. So Fran, any last topics you want to cover or any last things you want to cover before we head out?
I think I guess one of the biggest questions I know, like from a handler or from a client standpoint, the biggest thing is a lot of people have like other jobs or timing of how long it actually takes to like spend with your dog to train, you know. I guess that's the biggest question is I fit it in here and there, but my schedule is a little bit different. I have 2 days off and so I get to do pretty much all I want, and then 2 days at work, but I'm sure it's hard for other people to kind of fit. But actually, like how much time that you actually need to sit down and train with your dog or spend time with your dog?
That's a good question.
And I've got to find a light because evidently the sun went down on that side, so now I'm all dark.
But I actually have a great answer for that one, if you don't mind me stealing it.
Please.
So I would say like 90% of my clients, I tell them you probably sit there on the toilet and watch TikTok for at least like 30 minutes throughout the whole day. Take your TikTok toilet time and train your dog. That's the answer.
The answer to TikTok time. Because you do get involved in TikTok and it sucks you in for like 30 minutes.
Because I find a lot of people, it's easy to be like, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And especially if you're just looking for like basic obedience, like 15 minutes for the whole day, 3 5-minute training sessions, 1 in the morning and maybe 2 in the evening, because most people have more time in the evening. And you know, if you are one of those people that you're like, every second of my day is booked, there's no way, then either, you know, kind of rethink how badly do you want your behaviors to look like that? And also like, do you have time to have your dog? Like, are you giving your dog adequate time? Should you own a dog? Yeah, I get very little sympathy for the I don't have time people.
Yeah, it really does not take much time at all.
Yeah, 24 hours. Give me 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, literally.
With my job, I work 2 days on and 2 days off. So it's different because I do have those 2 days.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to keep that on a regular schedule, but.
Yeah. And I think, you know, honestly, it's great if you have a whole day you can spend with your dog doing stuff, but you'll find that more regular attention to behaviors, even if it's very short durations, a couple minutes here and there, throughout the day, can actually be more effective than spending like 1 whole day a week training or 2 whole days a week training, and then the rest of the week, you know, maybe not focusing so much on it. Whereas if you spend like the amount of time you normally spend to feed your dog in the morning, instead of just handing them a bowl of food, take 2 minutes, do some repetitions of sit or down or heel or sit at the door, and that's how they eat their meal. It doesn't take very long. You do that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I think that's going to be much more effective. So for Medic, we've been having an issue with our retrieves. So every time it's mealtime for breakfast and dinner, I make him hold his PVC pipe for like 30 seconds. And ever since I started doing that at each meal, our retrieves are solid. He doesn't chew on it anymore. He just holds it, nice and firm, nice and calm. And it took all of a minute and a half added to my daily routine just to have him hold it right before I give him his meal.
I think a lot of people think go train your dog is go outside and put the leash on and walk around and make it a big whole ordeal. Make your dog sit stay before you put the bowl down. Put your dog on place while you're cooking dinner or watching TV. Or like my dogs, when we go to the backyard to potty in the morning, that's when Gracie and I are working on heel, or we're working on our like send outs and stuff. And it's time that I would be using that time the same way anyways. I would still be cooking dinner. I would still be taking the dog's potty. I'm just using it more effectively. So there's ways around everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Yeah. All right, Kelly, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Sweet. All right, cool. We're gonna wrap it up. I gotta let my dogs out before the client gets here. All right, folks. Make sure you're all following us on our social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. Check out our website, www.airbornek9.com. If you go to our gear shop, our pro shop, I did make a video guide to teaching heel, or at least getting started in teaching heel. It's like a 36-minute video. You can download it for $5. Super cheap. It's basically getting a whole private lesson in one video. It essentially is the private lesson I normally do on heel. So it's a $100 value for $5. Can't beat that. And you can download it. You can keep it forever. You can share it with your friends, sell it. I don't care. But go download it. It's fun.
Go
and then
.com.
We can't see it because you're a mole rat.
Buy yourself a treat and train, God damn it.
If anyone's interested in coming to check out the trial this weekend, it is going to be in, where am I going? It's in the south. I can't remember what. Oh, Pembroke, North Carolina. All right. At Darkwater IPO. So you can check that out. You can come watch me trial and maybe pass. We're definitely going to fail tracking, but we might pass the rest of it. So we'll see. And if you want to contact us, I am here in North Carolina. You can reach me at 919-205-8255. Kelly is out in Texas. Her number is 910-248-9706.
You didn't even bother to ask me, and I'm so glad.
I know, because you don't know your number. It's fine. You can contact both of us at contact@airbornek9.com. Like we mentioned before, we share everything. So if you're trying to get a hold of me, Kelly might respond, and that's totally fine because she'll tell me that you're looking for me, and it's fine. It is what it is. Let's see. I think that's all I got. We're going to wrap it up and follow us for our next few podcasts. We got some good topics coming up. I want to do an interview with one of the higher ups in the RH program. So that sport we were talking about earlier about search and rescue, we do want to talk about that. So that's going to be a good episode. We also want to talk about breeders, operant conditioning, some other behavior mod techniques, classical conditioning, and all other good stuff. But if you have a topic that you want to hear that we haven't talked about yet, or if you want us to talk about another facet of a topic that we've already covered, hit us up, let us know. If you have something you want to add or a conversation you want to have, message us and we can get you on the schedule. We want to hear from you. Join us. It'd be great.
I would love to do some like episodes of like people coming with doggy problems and doing some problem solving. So if you have some doggy problems.
Oh yeah. I like that. I like that idea a lot. We can call it not a side stories. We can call it a Ask Kelly segment.
Ask Kelly. How about Ask Airborne Canine?
No, we can have Ask Kelly.
Ask Gracie.
Ask Gracie.
She's vicious.
Vicious. She's vicious. Hold on. Let's see if we can get it. No, there's no teeth in there. Sorry.
Good thing you didn't open it. That thing stinks.
Oh, all right, folks. Go out, train your dog, have fun, and enjoy your day with your dog.